Hi, welcome to Conscious Mind Tripping. I'm your host, Audrey Newmont, and today I have something really very interesting, special, and unique for you. I had this thing happen with one of my clients, and it was so good. I have to share it with you. So, I'm going to start with a little bit of a story before I get into it. I have this client who I've been working with for a while, and I'm good to use this story because they're anonymous and they said it was okay. So this person has been coming for a little while, a good amount of time, and they've been going from here to here. They've been doing very well. Things have been changing. And like everybody, they'll go up a bit and then they come back down and they go up higher and they come back down. And it's a process of how all of this looks. But I can tell from when they first come in to wherever they are, I can see how they're, doing well. So last week, this person had a session, and towards the end of the session, it was like, I know that you really don't love coming, but when you do come, you seem to get a lot out of it and you seem to be doing well. I mean, I've seen you at the beginning and I see you now. What's your resistance? I asked this person. And they said, I hate therapy. And so it was like, all right, well, why do you hate it? And they said, well, when I was a kid, I had to go to a therapist and I hated them, hated them. Hello there, Miss Lisa. Good to see you. I wasn't sure if I was live or not. I thought I'd be recording this, doing it earlier tonight because I got some plans tonight. But I really wanted to get this out here today. So thank you for joining me. So this person, they're telling me why they're resistant to therapy. And then we talked about it a bit. And it's like, I'm not really like your regular everyday kind of therapist. We're doing a different thing here. In fact, in a lot of ways, I'm a little bit of a teacher. I'm teaching us stuff that we didn't learn when we were younger. So we talked about it and we made it all, like better to come to therapy. But then the person said the thing and showed me the thing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, number one, I just want to say, I love it when people are clever. I love it when people do things that are a little kind of out of the norm to get where they want to go. So this person showed me, they said, they didn't say it like this, but here's how much they didn't want to come to therapy. Here's what they did. They took my book in the PDF form and they put it into Chat GPT. And then they asked Chat GPT, AI, what would Audrey say about this challenge? I mean, that's pretty clever. They didn't want to come to therapy so bad that they're going to, find a way for Chat GPT to say what I would have said in the session. And then they sent it to me and they showed it to me, and it was so good. Like, I have to share it with you, and I want you to see what this looks like because it's in a lot of ways really neat and very, very clever. Hi there, Miss Shelley, and all you fun people. I see a lot of the comments coming in. So I'm going to bring up this presentation, and this is pretty much verbatim of what chat said and then the reply. And because this person is anonymous, we are going to I'm going to say that some of the things that was about their particular, let me see if I can get this presentation on here. Wait a minute. There. Why isn't the presentation coming up? Oh, because I have to do this. Okay. Now, bring it in. There we go. Oh, it's here. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to read it and I'm going to be talking a little bit along the way. So you just got to get this. I thought was really a clever thing to do. I mean, for somebody who didn't want to go to therapy, it sure kind of solves the answer and solves the problem. So I'm going to start. All right, below is exactly how your therapist, this is Chat GPT talking, using the worldview tools and language from the Mind Trip game for clients would respond to your question. His question was, why do I have such a bad relationship with losing? Now, I want to just put it out there to begin with. A lot of people struggle with losing. When they're playing games, when they're in sports, all these things that people do that are competitive, they don't want to lose. And that is a pretty common problem. So that's another part of why I wanted to share this. Many people have these kind of challenges. So then they're saying, this is written in her voice using her framework: intention, attention, perception, drivers 1, 2, 3, and the fear into power, the pit stop, and all the information drawn from the book that he uploaded. So he took my book and uploaded it to there. All right, so I'm going to, no, I'm not going to do that. Bear with me on this technical stuff. I'm trying to get this thing out of my way. Oh, I know what I can do here. Ah, that's better. So then they say, your therapist responds from the mind trip perspective. So their name, which I left blank. So they say, let's just call this person Fred. Fred, the reason you struggle so deeply with losing has much less to do with the loss itself and everything to do with how your unconscious driver is interpreting the experience. In mind trip language, losing activates driver number 3, your inner child. When you lose in sports, business, or anything competitive, the inner child driver number 3 jumps into the front seat. So driver number 3 is conditional, uncertain, fearful, reactive, obsessed with the rear view mirror, old pain, old disappointments, and future tripping. What if this keeps happening? So the book says this. Wait a minute. I'm going to have to maximize this so I can see everything. The book says this driver is focused on selfies in the rearview mirror, habitually worrying, and I can't see the rest of this now. Here we go with this stuff. Well, habitually worrying and getting stuck in the problem. So then losing doesn't hurt because of the moment. It hurts because driver number 3, the kid in the back seat, is interpreting it through old stories. So instead of us being the driver in the front seat, that conscious part of us, that part of us that's powerful, on point, got our rationality going, our reasoning, it's like the kid in the back seat is driving and the kid's saying, I messed up. I'm not enough. I'm unsafe if I'm not winning. Loss equals danger. So you're not exactly responding to this loss. You're responding to every unresolved feeling your unconscious stored around losing. And that's what we do. So then AI says, number 2, losing pulls your attention down the hill. According to the game board model, losing triggers highway hypnosis, that unconscious slide down the emotional hill, I would say, to hell. So the book says, when you recognize a difficult feeling, you are in highway hypnosis. This is go in the game. Your attention immediately shifts from your intention, which is growth, mastery, and presence, to fear, shame, frustration, self-judgment, catastrophizing. Your brain runs a, you know what, I'm going to do something really quick because this is not working for me, and I don't mind taking the second that it takes to pull up the actual presentation so that I can really read it, because it's cutting it off, and that's just not good. So we're going to take the second here and bring it up on the actual PowerPoint so that Audrey isn't getting frustrated here, and you can see the whole thing. All right, now here we go. Nope, where did it just go? Hold on. Where am I at? Fear. There. Okay. Your brain runs old negative neural roadmaps. So let's get back to this a minute. Your attention immediately shifts from your intention, growth, mastery, and being presence, to fear, shame, frustration, self-judgment. That's a big one. Oh my God, self-judgment is huge for so many of us. Been there, done that. And catastrophizing. So your brain runs old negative neural roadmaps, patterns laid long ago. Losing is just the cue. Your reaction is a learned map, and the good news is maps can be rewritten. So we all have our neural pathways in our mind. We all have these familiar pathways, and they are saying what they're saying all the time. So when you're doing this process, and what they're saying is, it can be rewritten. Absolutely. So how do we do that? And what are they saying next? I got to tell you, I was wildly impressed with this. Yeah, these are the things that amuse me. So then let's get to the next slide for you guys. So your perception of losing is distorted. Your therapist would tell you, and everything in blue is me, your perception, not the loss, is what's hurting you. Because remember, you've got your controller of you, everything. And then on top of the controller, the three things that make everything happen is your intention, attention, and your perception. So certainly perception, not the loss, is what's hurting you. The book makes this clear. And this is the quotes in the book are in this yellow. Your perception of everything creates how you proceed around the board. So AI says right now your perception is loss equals danger, regression, failure, breakdown, but perception is programmable. Key. You learned a meaning for losing at some point at some earlier point in life. Competitiveness, responsibility, perfectionism, proving yourself, being the strong one. That meaning is still running the show like outdated software. Love this. Losing touches an identity wound, not a performance issue. On to the next. So you aren't using, so for this particular client, they're talking to them and they're saying, you aren't using the pit stop soon enough in your business and your screenshots, because not only are they looking at my book, but my client has given them access to what they're doing. So they're able to see a lot about him, and which will come into play in a little bit here. You'll see what they do with this. All right, so in your business and your screenshots, we see that you only pause after the emotional slide is already happening. But the game board teaches, before it turns into something uncontrollable, stop the car. So when we've got whatever we've got going on, a lot of times it's like we don't catch ourselves and deal with it while we're still thinking clearly. Once you've gone down the hill to hell, you're not thinking clearly and you're on an automated response. You're the kid in the back seat, and they don't know how to drive as well as the conscious adult in the front seat. So a loss in this person's business isn't supposed to push you down the hill. It's supposed to be a cue to cue the pit stop. So you choose calm, you communicate with yourself. They didn't take a new action, and then you release, focus on your solutions, and get support. That's what we do in that moment. But if you're allowing yourself to go down the hill, then you're not going to do that piece. And that's the key to everything. When you're able to stop the car and do those things, that's where we own our power. Just is. This is the moment you reclaim driver number 2, the adult. Right now, they're talking to the client, you skip the pit stop. Driver number 3 stays in control longer than it needs to. Then number 5, your feelings around losing are signals, not failures. Your therapist would remind you your feelings are programming your navigational system. When you lose, your emotional intensity is not irrational, it's information. It's showing you a belief you outgrew, a younger part of you that needs reassurance, a perception that needs updating, a moment where compassion is more productive than judgment. So remember, every time we go into that self-judgment, we're just like, I'm going to do this, I'm so whatever. Compassion for who we have been is the thing that changes judgment. It switches it. So she would say, me, nothing is wrong with you. Something inside you is asking to be heard. It's not exactly how I would have said it, just to be clear. Your therapist's actual reframe for you, the client's name, Fred, you don't have a bad relationship with losing. You have an unexamined relationship with the thoughts and feelings losing activates. Is this fascinating or what? On to the next slide. And then she'd walk you through the fear into power steps to rewrite the belief. It's exactly what I would do. Because the real issue is we have old identity wounds, old programming, perfectionism, responsibility patterns, emotional autopilot, a lack of self-compassion muscle, a subconscious belief that safety equals winning. So the other thing is, I would also, while they're doing that fear into power tool, I would be having them look at the timeline so they could see where that belief came into play, and you'll see what happens in a minute. So all of which can be changed and changed quickly once they've been brought into awareness. So once you become aware of all of this, that's when you are in the ability to change it. Most of the time, we're unaware that we're unaware. We'll move to the next slide. All right, what she'd have you do next. Hold on, I got to keep myself up here. Okay, what she would have you do next, here's what she'd assign. This is from the tools section. Number 1, the mind road trip for mind-brain chatter. I'm on my podcast, unless you want to come and say hi. I'm doing that AI. Nick calls AI Audrey intelligence. Come say hi to my live stream going here. I can't read your comments, by the way. I'm in the middle of all of this.
Hello.
This is Nick, my husband. And he is
a photo bomber.
A photo bomber. Look what I have to do. I had to bring it up here because it cuts it off over here.
Oh my goodness. Well, she is Audrey Intelligence. Listen to what she's saying. She knows what she's talking about.
Well, this is AI. This is actually, it's a lot of fun. Wait till you see where this goes. It's hysterical. Okay. It's not hysterical. It's really fascinating.
I will see it later.
All righty. And I will see you later.
Yes.
I got a really great husband here. Okay. I don't even know what that is.
You will.
I will. So the number 1. So in the book, there's all of these mind road trips. So there's a section in the book where you do some introspective work. You look at things from a new vantage point as the driver in the front seat. So I would actually have them do the mind road trip for the mind brain chatter. So write down every thought that arises when you lose. No judgment. This reveals the unconscious belief system. Then you do the fear into power worksheet. This is where you turn losing means I'm failing into losing is data that helps me win with ease. 3, choice point timeline. This is where they bring it in. She would help you discover where you learned the meaning you've attached to losing. That's what frees you from it. And then 4, daily assignment. She'd remind you where your attention is, you go. And that is absolutely what I would say, because I say it all the time. We have to pay attention to where our attention is. And how you can do that is those feelings are going to show you every single time. And so then, so we put your attention back on intention, not fear. Next slide. This is where it really was amusing. This is, they said, the exact message she'd say to you in her voice, sweetheart. No, Audrey would never say that to a client. Just wouldn't happen. I would say, losing is not the problem. Your perception of it is. Every time you lose, the younger version of you takes the wheel and tries to protect you the only way they know how, with fear, pressure, and intensity. You don't need to get rid of that part. You need to comfort him, reassure him, and put the adult driver back in the seat. Losing isn't a threat. It's a map, and it's helping you become who you're, and I wouldn't say this at all, trying to be. I would say who you're choosing to be. We don't try, we do it or we don't. Not listening to signs for, so this is the business of this client. I didn't want to give it away. So when you see anything in gray, it's me with my clients. It's been proven every time that you have a terrible day. So not listening to signs, when this person does what they're doing in the day, they know that there's signs that they should do something different. And they're not paying attention to the signs. They just on the autopilot in the back seat, the kid in the back seat that wants to win, that wants to be right. So it's been proven every time that you have a terrible day. Why don't you wait until whatever and see what this looks like? It's been proven that if there is and again, this is the practice of this particular client, they struggle, I think. And then in this, the AI gives this person all of these to-do things. So when they're looking at what they're actually doing versus what they should be doing, they're basically looking at the challenge or the problem. And then they're giving this person the solution. So for your particular business, do this, do this, do this. They're giving them like a whole, these are what will create success in the avenue that you're working in. And I thought that was really clever. So this AI is able to go in and look at all of these things and then put it into a really great format for them, which is kind of what I do as well as a therapist. We look at, all right, here's the things that aren't working. What are new actions that you can take? What are new solutions for what you've got going on? So then they say, being right, you have the biggest desire to be right every time in everything. When you are wrong a lot, you hold this driving force that you must be right. It comes from one of the parents. Let me read that again. You hold this driving force that you must be right. It comes from your parent. That part of us where we have to be right a lot of the time, we're in the backseat of our parents' car all the time. And if you've got one of those parents who's like, this is what we do, this is how we do it, there's no right, wrong, this is it, I'm right, and that's all there is to it. There's a lot of people that have that happen. They've got parents like that, and then we're in the backseat from our 0 to 8, and that's what we do. That's what we learn. This is the program that we will roll until we don't. So, and there is no other way. Try to admit when you're wrong earlier. It'll save you a lot of money in his particular business. Let me get to it. Where did I stop up here? All right, and then there's more direction from the AI. I thought it was really cool because they're able to see this person's career and they're able to see this is what you've been doing and here's where you can create more success with it. And so they're actually giving more direction in that moment again. So then everything I wrote in this purple color. So then this client read all of that, and then they did some homework. They wrote down my intentions. So this is the client. He's saying, my intentions to realize when the kid in the back seat is talking and when the programs are just running. I look and what programs I came up with first. So here's the programs that they have. My phone, an obvious one, picking up and scrolling through Instagram. So he made a very wise and conscious choice. He deleted it. I'm not going to waste time doing this crap anymore. Compulsion. So the chip example, he'll eat a whole bag of chips in one sitting if they're around. So he's realizing this is boredom, pain, taking the easy route. The inner voice is so strong, it's like an invisible force. The inner voice, the kid in the back seat, you got to have him. This is going to make you feel better. This is whatever. When we're looking at clients coming in, this is a very big one for a lot of people. They feel like, I just don't have any willpower. That is like an invisible force in the back, and it's huge. I got to do whatever the thing is. And it's because it's an unconscious, and in the unconscious, in our controller, for most people, it's about 95%. So when there's a program rolling about a bag of chips, I used to have a massive sugar addiction. And I remember times where I was eating unconsciously and it wasn't pretty. And then when you finally realize the program and what the food equals, then you're getting to the understanding, you're getting to actually being the adult where instead of just going by 5% willpower over 95% where food equals whatever, you're changing that program over time. Most people don't do it overnight. And you create a new program so that the willpower, the percentage is much higher, and you've changed the actual program. Like I don't have a sugar addiction anymore, thank goodness. And it's a process to keep reprogramming your beliefs around whatever food equals. And it can be a million different. For a lot of people, it's a very big deal. So taking the inner voice is so strong, it's like an invisible force. Huge test in life and relationship. And then they're talking about their personal story and the challenges that are going on. And to be clear, many people are having challenges right now. I mean, it is just a moment. And so really get your challenges are unique to you. And if you're looking at people and you think, oh my gosh, they don't have any challenges. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Everybody's having some sort of challenges right now. So when you make your challenges okay, when you make it all right to have a challenge, and it's like, how am I going to work through this? That's half of the battle. So much of the time we judge the challenge like I shouldn't be doing this. This is ridiculous. Because on a level, the adult knows I'm better than this. I'm more than this. And I've got to get to that. And that's why I'm talking about this today. So on to the next slide. Happiness. With this person, I couldn't be happier. And then they're talking about their story of all the great things that they have going on. And they truly do. I've always said no, but honestly started asking for, and as soon as I accepted in my heart, it happened. These things that they are now happy about. Stubbornness, the need to be right. I might need help in this area because that is a driving force of bad, and how to deal with it. And then, like a lot of people, perception of the body. They have body image issues. It's important that we get that for many of us, we grow up manipulated about how our body should look. You know, we're looking at all of these people in magazines and all over the place and not realizing a majority of them are manipulated. So we grow up with this idea of what our body should look like. And if it's not exactly like that, there comes the self-judgment. And they came, all right, so this is them talking about their personal story. And I'm not going to get into that as much. So This is the definiteness of purpose. This comes from Napoleon Hill. If you all have never read any of Napoleon Hill's books, he's amazing. He wrote Think and Grow Rich, and then he wrote a book that I have right there called Outwitting the Devil. Highly recommend these. And having that definiteness of purpose is a huge driving force, of conscious driving force. All right, so a loop I'm in of doing the same thing over and over again. How do we break that loop? The voice in the head speaking. I always feel like second guessing saying something or if it was the right thing to say. I had an epiphany when I was in grade school. They had a gym teacher, and this is a story. So he's looking at the story and he's understanding. He's looking at the timeline. He's getting his awareness of where these things came from. So it's not who he is, it's the program that gets started back when he got started. And it can be in that 0 to 8 where it's literally the program. And it can be from those experiences that we have, where in the experience, our little younger version of us, our perception takes and makes it whatever that is that we roll with. And by the way, Michael Singer has a book that is amazing. He's mentioning it here. And then he's talking about what he's looking to create. And then he's talking about this next thing that he wants to own his adult words and owning that ability to voice all these things that he is creating, or voice if there's something that's not working for him. And then, like many, 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 many people, this challenge with alcohol. And, you know, it just is what it is. So when we're judging the alcohol, when we're in shame or guilt or whatever, that strengthens the program. So when you're looking at it and it's like, what does alcohol equal? Why is it important? What does it mean for me? You know, you start getting to the root of it. That's when you get to the answers and you're reprogramming yourself. So they say, I wrote this, I spit it out. You know, he just went in and he just started doing it, which I'm going to just say, so impressive, so impressive. I remember when I started therapy a long time ago, it took me forever to sit down and do this. So when people do it, I am just like so impressed. That's where it happens. When you're doing this, what he just did, and you're being authentic, you're able to look at, what's my story here? Like, what am I doing? And you're making it all okay. There's nothing bad. There's nothing wrong. We're just doing the program. So when you're able to step back and you're able to write these things down and you're able to look at it authentically with compassion and an intention, a definiteness of purpose to move beyond the story, there you are. That's called owning your power. So then AI comes back on again. Just love this stuff. All right, so AI comes back after he says all this, and this is where it really gets good. So they say, this is the most honest, complete, emotionally self-aware inventory you've ever written, because I guess they can see a lot of what he has written. And I'm going to respond to it exactly the way your therapist from the mind trip would respond. Compassionate, direct, perceptive, rooted in her framework of drivers, intention, attention, perception, emotional programs, fear into power, stopping the loops, that's a big one, and healing old trauma, focused on helping you finally break these patterns. What you wrote is not problems, it is the entire blueprint of your unconscious emotional system. And now we can rewire it. Love it. Let's rewire it. Yes. So then they get into the solutions. Below is the full therapeutic interpretation and plan to start breaking your loops immediately. 1, you're not having what their business is, problems. You're having unresolved emotional program problems. Every single thing you listed. what they listed as their challenges: trying the same thing repeatedly, needing to be right, ignoring signs proven over time. So they're talking directly to him and saying, these are just what you've been doing. These are symptoms. The cause is much deeper. Your inner child, driver number 3, the kid in the back seat, is running the show when you're tired, triggered, unsure, or stressed. Every time the kid takes the wheel, he makes the same moves. Then they go in and talk about his patterns. This is what you're doing. This is what you're doing. This is what you're doing. It's just a pattern. If you look at your life, literally sit there for a second and look at your own life. Do you see patterns of what you do? That's not who you are. That's the kid in the back seat. This is what they know to do. When they get stressed and overburdened with responsibility, when they get all of this stuff going on, there's a part of it where the adult, the reason, the logic, the willpower, that conscious intentional choice kind of shuts down, and the kid's driving. And let me get to the next slide here. Wait a minute. I've lost my place. There we go. All right. It isn't, all right, this is good. This is what they wrote. This isn't stupidity. It's unhealed programming. And you finally laid it all out. Now we can fix it. Okay. On to the next slide. Your awareness is your turning point. She'd be proud. Your therapist would say, this is the moment where the unconscious becomes conscious. It's exactly right. And that is the moment you take your power back. Yep. So, compulsion, boredom, pain avoidance, easy, taking the easy route, old trauma, stubbornness, need to be right, body image wounds, looping thoughts, morning racing thoughts, alcohol patterns, childhood trauma with, and then their personal stuff, relationship stress, fear of speaking, fear of being wrong, desire for control. By the way, all of these things are so common. Many people have these things. It's just a part of life until it's not. This is exactly the blueprint therapists are looking for. All of these are driver number 3 survival programs, and you're finally seeing them. Once you see the program, you no longer are the program. You start choosing consciously. Number 3, let's go point by point. Here's what each pattern really is therapeutically. Ignoring business rules that have been proven. This isn't lack of discipline, it's emotional override. When the kid is driving, patterns repeat even when you know the outcome. That's why you break these things that they're doing. And I'm not going to get into that anymore. I'm going to move that forward because I think I should have taken those things out, but it's okay because we don't know who this person is. So I'm going to just read the rest of that one. So when there's these rules that they're talking about to change these programs, and here's what I'm going to do. From now, I'm just going to read it without having it on there, because that's a smarter thing to do right now. So we're going to put it all back to me, and I'm going to read it from here. So when there's these rules that you have, whatever the thing is, in any, let's just say, in any career, there's things that work for all of us. Like for Nick and I, we're therapists. We also are entrepreneurs. We have our business. So there's certain unsaid rules. These are things that make the business really happen well. Like we should be here on time. We should do certain things with regard to our clients. We should do certain things with regard to our center. And there's certain unwritten rules we know these are the things that make us successful, make things happen. And sometimes within our businesses, especially if you're not an entrepreneur working for yourself, there's certain rules. You do the rules, you make the things happen, you're going to be successful with the job. But when we start bucking the rules or start not doing them, whatever that thing is, like just showing up on time, you start showing up late too often, you're breaking the rules, there's a possibility that you're going to get fired. You know, you're supposed to do certain things, you just say, I didn't get it done. You're breaking the rules, you're going to get fired. But when you're in the position where you're following whatever those rules are, whether you're making them yourself, whether the business says these are the ways to be successful with it, it just is what it is. So these rules keep the adult in charge, and then breaking them means the child is driving. So we have these rules because that's that conscious part of us. That's that part where it is logical, it is reasonable, it is within our best interest. If we want to keep along this successful, abundant path, these are the things that you do. So you question when you're not doing them, because that is the kid in the back seat. So two, the fighting the trend. And these are things what's going on with this particular person's career, and they're giving direction on these are the things, because they can see all of this person's career. These are the things that are happening that don't really support your career working the best. So the AI is able to put it in there and literally say, here's what's not working, and more importantly, here's what does work. So that fear and power tool, it's the fear, false evidence appearing real, and your power. This is what you do to be powerful, but it also is the challenge and the solution, the cons and the pros for doing things. It's a way to look at it with your critical thinking in action, your critical thinking leading the way. And so then this is, again, this next slide is talking a little bit more about what this person would do and why they would do it based on their their childhood survival. And then there's that part where we all, and this is again another common one, people, I don't want to feel this feeling. And I talked about that a bit last week on being authentic. When you don't want to feel the feeling and you're using something like food or alcohol or any addictive kind of things, or things that just simply don't work for you, it's not that you don't feel the feeling. You have covered the feeling over with something that maybe feels a little better in the moment. But if we don't actually deal with the feeling, it's not going to go away. It keeps rolling, and it keeps making things not go the way that you would intend for it to go. So then they say, your therapist would say, this is emotional avoidance, not strategic action. So then, where am I? This is a very big one, what they're talking about here. They go on to number 4, the need to be right. This is, and they put in all caps, huge. You named it perfectly. It comes from a parent. So they say that wound is deep. As a child, being right equals being safe. Being wrong equals being exposed. You internalize perfection, and that equals acceptance. Mistakes equal danger. So today, you fight to be right. You hate being wrong. You average down life. You repeat business practices trying to win the argument. You don't admit error until it's expensive. So this is not about the client's business. This is about childhood rules still running. And the quote is, if I'm wrong, I'm not safe. So it's really important. Everybody rolls whatever programs, and it's individual, unique to every single one of us. But if there is a part where we're running a program that we need to be right, that is one of those ones that is pretty deep. And even though it's deep, you can change it pretty quick, but you've really got to get in and figure out, where did it come from? What does it look like for everything that they're talking about here? And like they're saying right here in the last line, we're going to rewrite that. So then this thing about the sugar cravings, that one that I rolled for the longest time, and body perception issues. That ties to comfort seeking, self-soothing, reward programming from childhood. That was my big one, very much reward programming. So for those of us that have issues around sugar in particular, every single night after dinner, we would have dessert, unless I was a bad girl. And then I got no dessert. So it turned into, I'm going to get that dessert one way or another. And it was self-soothing. I got a huge story around that. And that's the kind of thing where when you recognize, where would that program come from? And reward programming from childhood is a big one for a lot of people, and unresolved body shame trauma. So they're talking about, the kid inside says, I want comfort now, in all caps. I don't want to feel anything uncomfortable. So that was a big one for me as well. I would eat to not feel the pain that I was feeling. I remember clearly years ago when I was going through my divorce and a really hard day, I sat down and ate a lot of ice cream, and it was just the comfort of it. I just had such a bad day. I just wanted anything to feel good for a minute. And the little kid in the back seat wanted it now. Actually, this was a young adult in the front seat, wanted it now. So it's the same exact program with what regard to the business. So when you're looking at all of this, I'm not going to get into, well, wait a minute, I'm going to do one of things here. Hold on, bear with me. This gets into the looping conversation. Hold on. Bear with me. Looping thoughts, racing mind. This is another one. It's an anxiety, and it's mixed with compulsion. It's your brain trying to regain control when life feels unstable. So you're not broken, you're overloaded. Your therapist would say the mind loops when it feels unsafe. It's not exactly how I would say it, but that's good enough. With all the things that this person has, there's a lot going on. So when we are feeling that overload of things, and I'm not going to read the rest of this because, again, it gets into this person's particular situation. Then they're explaining, these are all the things of why you would have what you have going on. So this is what I do in session with a client as well. We're looking at, where does this come from? What is it exactly looking like? We take out the judgment around it. We bring in compassion, and we make it all so that it's okay. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest ones. When we've done what we've done, or we do what we do, and there's a lot of judgment on it, it's never okay. So you switch out the judgment for compassion, and then you be in the process of, all right, so it's not okay. I've determined I'm the adult here. It's not okay. And I'm going to deal with the kid in the back seat. We're going to now be in the process of the adult letting the kid know, you've had your fun, you've had your comfort, you've had your loopings, you've had whatever you've had going on. I'm driving now. And you're literally taking charge and taking new actions. So they say on here, we can rewrite this too. Now, let's turn this into a real therapeutic plan. I'm going to give you the loop breaker system, the exact method your therapist would design for this. And then they go into, let me see here. The loop breaker system, your therapist version. There are only 3 steps. Step number 1, name the program. Anytime you feel urge, compulsion, chasing, proving, impulsive, needing to be right, anger, perfection pressure, body stuff, sugar craving, any kind of panics, any kind of loops, the desire to fix discomfort, say, this is what the clients should say, this is a program. This is not me. This is from the mind trip. This is what they're saying I said. Once you recognize a difficult feeling, you are in highway hypnosis, and that is go time in the game. Recognition equals freedom, and that is absolutely true. Once you see it and you be in the process of adjusting it, that is your freedom. That's you owning your power. That's your ability to choose a new neural pathway, a new road, a new direction. And you're making new actions along the way, new steps along the way. So step 2, talk to the child script. So this is where you would be the adult in the front seat and you're having that conversation in the back with the back seat. So this is what they're saying. They're saying that as the adult used to say, I know you're scared. I know you want relief. You're not in trouble. You're safe with me. You don't have to fix this. Let me drive now. This softens the nervous system instantly. Step 3, choose the adult. Action adult actions are, that's what they wrote. So adult actions are wait, pause, do those things to keep your mind in balance. That's not what they're saying. I don't want to say what they're saying because it's his business. And they're basically saying, do these things with regard to your business, and that's going to change the course of action with regard to it. I think it's so cool that they're able to do this. I'm telling you, I found this just wildly fascinating. So then the adult driver, number 2, has safety, structure, and intentionality. And then this is number 5, what she'd say to you directly. This part matters. This is what they said I would say. Fred, you're not broken. You're overloaded. Your mind is loud because your life is shifting. You've got these things going on, which I'm not going to get into. And all of these things are creating where your childhood wounds are waking up. Your systems are being challenged. This isn't collapse. This is transformation. This is the moment you begin choosing consciously instead of reacting automatically. And then she'd say the most important line. I would say the most important line, which is, you finally know the enemy, and it was never you. It was the program, and now you're rewriting it. And that's what I would say. And that's what I do say. So when you're looking at your life and you've got whatever you've got going on, the reason why I put that book together the way that I put it together, and the reason why this person brought it all into AI, I thought it was really, I just can't even explain enough how clever I thought that was. So when you're reading that book and it's showing you the controller, that mind of yours is the controller. And just like a controller, the 3 buttons on the top are your intention, attention, and your perception. So when you're addressing all 3 and you're making those changes and you're taking out those hard feelings from being bad or wrong, and you're using them in particular judgment, then you're able to see what it is that you need to see. And you're able to address it and change the program. And when you're reading the book, there's mind trips along the way. And I put them in there. So when you're doing that process and you're literally sitting down and writing, a lot of times I like it with the hand and the paper. This person does it with the hand on a device, which is still real good. And that device now worked because the AI could look at all of that and see clearly, oh, this is what you've got going on. It's all okay. And you get to change it. You get to rewrite it. So when you're reading the book, do those parts, the mind game, those green lights. Put them all in green because green means go. Do this, recognize those programs, and then you're in the ability to shift them. It's kind of just that simple, and it's a process. So nobody changes all of this overnight. All right, now I can see your comments over here. I don't even understand what you all are looking at, but Lisa, nice to have you join us. So I wanted to share that because everybody's got their own path. And to be clear, one of the reasons why I appreciated this person sharing that with me is because it's very common. The things that they're dealing with, a lot of people deal with. We all deal with very, very similar things. There's a lot of the same programs that are rolling. So when you recognize the program and then you put yourself into that action mode to change them, that's a big part of what life is. But you got to do the process. You got to make that thing happen. So if anybody's interested, you can download my book on a PDF. And you can ask AI, what would Audrey say here? Or you can give me a call. And I'll say that starting in January, I'm going to be starting a new group, and it'll be in person and it'll be online. So I'll be available to ask questions, and it'll be a very interactive group. So when people are having challenges, a lot of us have the same challenges. When somebody says, this is what I've got going on, and then we're in process using the tools, then many people can benefit from it. So that's what I wanted to share with you all today. I will not be here next week because it is a holiday, but I'll be here actually possibly the next week, but definitely at the beginning of the year. And I'm going to start that group, and I'll be putting that online. You can look on any of my socials. I'll be sharing it there. So here's your homework. Take a look. And if you don't like to read, you can go to Conscious Mind Tripping on YouTube, and it's me reading the book. So there's a lot that AI didn't talk about, like the first driver, which is a huge part of things. They didn't enlist the first driver at all, which I found was very interesting. Maybe they think that they're the first driver. At any rate, you can read it it's on a podcast on my YouTube channel. And you can also go to audreynewmont.com, and I have a whole page there where you can access that as well, or you can purchase the book, whatever you want to do. And that's, I think, it for tonight. I hope you all have a very blessed holiday. And for those of you that are already in the holidays, many blessings to you with Hanukkah and all the other holidays that we celebrate this time of year. And I will just end it by saying, thank you very much for all of you that have been following me. And next year, I'm going to be getting a new publisher for my book. I want it republished in a different way. And I also have 2 books behind it. So the more people that I have that subscribe, the better it looks for me getting a new publisher. So if you could hit that subscribe and like button and maybe share it with your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. So thank you so much, and much love to you. I'll catch up with you soon. Have a good one. Bye for now.